Alright, I've been working on this single web page and I've come up with 4 different CSS style sheets depending on the width of this window right here. So right now you're looking at the display when it's picking up the tiny short.css style sheet, and the web page itself is here in the middle called skeleton.html. I'll go over it again really fast. HTML head. Here's one link. This links to the tiny short CSS. And instead of me reading all the code, you can just pause the video and type what you see. There's the link to a number 2.css, which is going to go for a slightly wider page. Here's a link to 3.css. We're getting even wider. And what I did in the video before this, I was trying to use width and height, and it was just too confusing. So I simplified it back to what I've done in the past, just dealing with the minimum and maximum width. And finally, here's the link to 4.css for the widest page of all. Alright, there's the end of the head. Here's your body, here's your div with the ID of wrap that actually wraps everything up. Here's the ID of nav, which started off with a red border, but then I made a few changes. So right here it's got a pink border, and everywhere that we look it's got a pink border and pink buttons and this white outset, I believe that's outset, border so that it looks like planks. So in that nav with the pink border, you've got your div ID logo, which holds this image called huh.jpg, which you see right over here, this brown image that I created in Paint that just says huh. And so that's the logo. When you have your own image, you could put your own image in there for your own logo. There's the end of that. Right here is the UL tags for the unordered list, which I'm using for each one of these. These are all list items: first link, second link, third link, and fourth link. And as you can see, there's first link, second link, third link, and fourth link. There's the end of the unordered list, the end of the div, the end of the nav that has the logo, and the list. I haven't created these lists. I haven't altered them so that they're links yet, but I will. Then I've got a div ID content 1 with the text inside that says content 1, and you can see that right here. Then I've got a div ID content ID equals content 2, and I've got the text content 2 inside of there, which you could see there. Div ID content 3 with the text content 3 inside, you could see that right here. And div ID content 4 with the text content 4 inside, which you can see right there. Okay, there's the end of the wrapper div. If I go back up here, you'll see div ID equals wrap, end of body, end of HTML. Alright, so that's all that you get for the web page code. It's all that you need. Now let's look at tiny short.css. This is the CSS that's going to style the page so that you see this display right here on the left. For the body, text align left, margin 0 pix, auto padding 0 pix, font size 12 pix, font family Arial, background color black. The image, which is this image, it's given a width of 100%. The unordered list has a margin left of -40 pixels, margin bottom of 0 pixels, padding bottom of 0 pixels, text align right, and list style type none. In my unordered list, I have text align right, and as you can see, these list items right here are all the text is lined up to the right hand side of the list item. Then the list item itself, border thick white outset, padding 2%. Here's the ID of wrap that holds everything together. Border 10 pixels gray outset, which you could hardly see actually, but there's 10 pixels of gray outset around that whole thing. Actually, it looks like some of these elements are spilling outside of it. It looks like it's supposed to stop right here. Well, I'm not going to worry about it right now. It's not spilling over so bad that it's horrible, but I can fix that later. Padding 0 pixels, margin 0 pixels, auto, 0 auto. Float left, height 680 pixels, width 350 pixels, position absolute, background color white. Which you can't really tell about the background color being white because all of these other elements, I gave them their own background colors, so you really don't see any white. The next ID that I went over, pound nav for the ID of nav. See, I just went over the style for ID of wrap. Now I'm going to go over the style for the ID of nav. Right here. It's this pink area with the pink border. Border 10 pixels. And this pound FF339C inset, this is the color of this like hot pink that goes around it. Width 94%, float left, background color pink. Next we've got the ID logo, pound logo. So that's right here, div ID logo. Border 10 pixels, white ridge, float left. So that's this white ridge that's around the JPEG image. Then ID content 1 and ID content 2. That's this with a light green background and light blue background. These guys are sharing these styles. Height 35%, width 42.15%, top 1%, padding 1%, and float left. That's what these two are sharing. Content 1 has its own individual styles as well. Border 10 pixels green inset and background color pound CCFFDC. That gives us this pale green. Content 2 has its own styles as well. Border 10 pixels blue inset, background color pound B3 CCFF. And you get this nice light blue. Okay, ID content 3 and ID content 4, pound content 3 and pound content 4, they're sharing some styles. They're sharing the height of 34.5%, the width of 42.15%, the top of 1%, the padding of 1%, and the float left. And they have their own individual as well. For content 3, which is right here with the purple, light purple background, border 10 pixels purple inset, background color pound CC99FF. Content 4 has its own style as well, which is this orange. Border 10 pixels orange inset, background color pound FFC299. And that gives us our faded orange against the brighter orange. Okay, so that is the first CSS that you get when it's this wide. Since I've already went over skeleton.html, all the code from top to bottom, I can minimize it and get it out of the way because I want to pull this out. And since I've already went over tiny short CSS from top to bottom, I can actually X that out. As I pull this wider, we're going to get another view. Did you see how it changed? I didn't have to go that far for this to pop up another CSS. Right now it's grabbing the 2.css. So starting at the top, I'll show you the changes there. For the body, text align center, margin 0 pixels, auto padding 0 pixels, font size 13 pixels, font family Arial, background color black, image width 100%, height 100%, UL for unordered list, margin left -40 pixels, margin bottom 0 pixels, padding bottom 0 pixels, text align left, and list style type none. So far, no major changes. The list item, border thick white outset, padding 3%, so that went up by 1%. Just the space around the text on the list item element. wrap, border thick black solid, padding 0 pixels, margin 0 auto, float left, height 670 pixels, width 385 pixels, position absolute, background color white. Again, we're not really seeing any white. Pound nav, that's down here. This is going to be a little different. Border 10 pixels, pound FF339C inset, width 95%, background color pink, position absolute, bottom 0 pixel. Logo, I believe this is the same. Border thick white ridge, float right, height 157 pixels. Actually, this might have a height where I don't think the first one did. I'm not sure that it did. Content 1 and Content 2 are sharing top 1%, padding 1%, and float left. Content 1's unique. Since I Z'd this out, I don't need this here. Height for Content 1, which is this green background. Height is 32.15%, border 10 pixels green inset, width 56%, background color pound CCFFDC. Content 2, which is the light blue background, height 32.15%, border 10 pixels blue inset, width 29%, and background color pound B3CCFF. Content 3 and Content 4 is shared styles, height 20%, bottom 1%, padding 1%, float left. And Content 3's individual style is float left, height 32.15%, margin left 0 pixels, width 29%, border 10 pixels purple inset, background color pound CC99FF. And lastly, for Content 4, we've got this orange area. Float left, height 32%, width 56%, border 10 pixels orange inset, background color pound FFC299. These colors I'm not changing from CSS to CSS. That's something that you can change too, but basically the differences that I'm showing you is where I'm putting my navigation area, and things like padding might change or the font size might change. You could change the font family too if you want. And basically these content areas, sometimes all the content areas are the same size, sometimes they're different, so the percentages are different for that. So from top to bottom we did 2 CSS, so let's kill it. Open this up a little more. Pretty soon it's going to open up, it's going to link to this one. There we go. Took long enough. So this is a little different. Notice the nav. It's just a little piece up here. You've got your nav, Content 1 and Content 2 all in a row at the top, and then Content 3 and Content 4 at the bottom. So here's the CSS 3.css style for the body. Text align center, margin 0 pixels auto, padding 0 pixels, font size 20 pixels, so we are increasing our font size, font family Arial, and background color black. Our image width is 100%. Our UL for unordered list, margin left -40 pixels, margin bottom 0 pixels, padding bottom 0 pixels, text align left. So the text is lined up on the left side of the list items now. List style type none. The list items themselves, same, border thick white outset, padding 5%. The wrap, that you can't really see, but it's around everything. Border thick black solid, padding 0 pixels, margin 0 auto, float left, height 700 pixels, width 677.5 pixels, position absolute, background color white. The ID for the nav, ID nav, border 10 pixels, pound FF339C inset. Again, you're looking at this, the pink border, the list items inside. Width is 21%, height is 46.85%, float is left, and background color is pink. The logo, border thick white ridge, float left, same as it has been. The Content 1 and Content 2 IDs are sharing height of 45%. These green and blue, they're both 45% high. Top 1%, padding 1%, and float left. The individual style for content 1 with the green background is border 10 pixels, green inset, width 39%, background color pound CCFFDC. The individual styles for content 2, which is the blue, border 10 pixels, blue inset, width 27%, background color pound B3CCFF. The shared styles for both content 3 and content 4 down here at the bottom. The shared styles are height 45.5%, top 1%, padding 1%, float left. And the individual styles for content 3 here, border 10 pixels, purple inset, width 35.5%, background color pound CC99FF. Lastly, the individual style for your orange area here, content 4, float left, border 10 pixels, orange inset, width 54.5%, background color pound FFC299. Alright, so that's all that we get for 3.css. And finally, we'll get to the very last style. Now, because this is going to open up to the width of this entire monitor, I started off with my navigation area having a smaller width. But as you can see, when I pull this out, by the time I'm stuck, it doesn't look as strange. This is so strange. Sometimes the control gets away from me. Alright. So it doesn't look too bad. You've got content 1, 2, 3, and 4 all uniform. They're about all the same height and width. You've got your navigation area here taking up 100% or close to 100% of the height here. And you've got your list items here kind of floating kind of sort of in the middle because I gave it a, let me read the style. Okay. So for 4.css, body, text align left, margin 0 pixels auto, padding 0 pixels, font size 25 pixels, font family Arial, background color black, font weight bold. So you might have noticed that the text is bolder. The image still has width of 100%. The unordered list, margin top 200 pixels. See, so it gave us a margin that is pushing down the list items 200 pixels down. So it kind of is giving me this illusion that my list, they look like buttons, but they're just list items, are kind of floating in the middle of the page. So depending on if I want to push them down even further, I could change this 200 to 300 or 250 or whatever I want. And next is margin left negative 40 pixels, margin bottom 0 pixels, padding bottom 0 pixels, text align left, list style type none. And again, for each of these styles, we can change anything we want. I just changed a few minor things just to show positioning. The list item itself has a border of 10 pixels wide outset, padding, we're up to 5% padding now, and margin of 0 pixels. The wrap, border thick black solid, padding 0 pixels, margin 0 auto. I don't know why I have 0 auto. It should be 0 pixels auto, I believe. Float left, height 720 pixels, width 96%, position absolute. For our nav, we have border thick, pound FF339C solid, which I don't want it to be that. I want it to be 10 pixels of that pink color, and I want it to be inset like the rest. Let me save this. This might break my page, but it didn't. It didn't break my page. Alright, let's go back. Okay, back to the nav. Width is 12%, float is left, maximum width 150 pixels, background color pink, and height 97%. The logo, border 5 pixels, white ridge, float left. I don't believe we have any changes there. If I wanted, I could change this to 10 pixels, white ridge, just so that you see that this white border around the JPEG gets a little wider. Okay, now I have shared styles for all 4 of these elements. Content 1, Content 2, Content 3, and Content 4. All 4 of these are sharing a height of 43%, a width of 38%, a top of 1%, a padding of 1%, and float of left. Now each of their individual styles, Content 1 has a border of 10 pixels green inset, a background color of #CCFFDC. Content 2 has a border of 10 pixels blue inset, background color #B3CCFF. Content 3 has border 10 pixels purple inset, background color #CC99FF. And last but not least, the ID for Content 4, border 10 pixels orange inset, background color #FFC299. Alright, so that is the final CSS style sheet. So once again, this is pulling 4.css because of the width. Going a little bit more. Waiting on the change. Okay, there's 3.css. Took me a while to get to it. Let's wait on the next change. There's 2.css. And if I scrunch it in even more, you'll see that tiny short.css. So very similar, just positioning things around a little differently. And just as a reminder, this is how it works. 4 different links to 4 different style sheets. Link rel equals style sheet, media equals screen, and min width 1 pixel and max width 400 pixel. href equals tiny short.css. Here's the second link to the second style sheet. Link rel equals style sheet, media equals screen, and min width 401 pix and max width 600 pix. href equals 2.css. The third link, link rel equals style sheet, media equals screen, and min width 601 pix and max width 800 pix. href equals 3.css. And finally, link rel equals style sheet, media equals screen, and min width 801 pix and max width 2000 pix. href equals 4.css. And all of those links are in the head, and the body, all of the elements that short little page went through. End of the body, end of the HTML, end of this.